responsible government is the one that takes care of her citizen. Good afternoon and thank you for joining us. This is Nigeria Now on Equa Television International. And today I have Joyce Dekada with me as always. Joyce, good afternoon.
Pleasant afternoon to you, Sabu Suleiman. Good afternoon to our viewers out there.
Yeah. Well, talking about Nigeria and what is happening, we look at how the government frowned on the issue of the social register. And it was something that takes my heart. Because why? You know, you remember in this particular program, there are certain questions that we've been asking, and there was no answer given to us. Not until we hear the government started talking about this particular register, because we asked the question that you're talking about sending palliative, sending relief to certain people, you know, that you even give us a number, and we ask how. How did you come about with those people that you are targeting? You are thinking you're going to send a relief. And just to answer that question, you know, the federal government, the present administration is questioning the integrity of that register. Joyce.
Well, like I will always maintain, we live in a country where there are more questions than there are answers. And it was because of the plan of the federal government to cushion the effect of the fuel subsidy removal that the talk about the social register came about, because out of the $800 million loan that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu requested that the 10 Senate assent to, that he wished that about 12 million families, poor households, are going to be receiving 8,000 per month in 6 months. And a lot of Nigerians reacted to that. So many people were enraged, saying how much is 8,000 naira compared to the cost of commodities in the market. They're saying that for a household, a poor household that cannot afford food, you're giving it 8,000 naira. Like, how will that sustain? A bag of rice, we're talking about 40,000 naira. And if you sum if the 6 months you sum the 8,000, it can only give you 48,000. So due to that, we saw how that immediately President Bola Ahmed Tinubu reversed, called for review of that 8,000 naira. And just yesterday, because Nigerians have actually called on the federal government to really look into cushioning the effect of this first subsidy removal, and that was why yesterday we saw how that the NEC, headed by the Vice President Kashim Shettima, 36 state governors, representatives from the central bank and other government officials met in a closed-door meeting to ensure that they come up with solutions as regards ameliorating the hardship that Nigerians are faced with by way of providing some forms of palliative to them. When you look at the word palliative in its true essence, it is something that is given to people that are suffering from a terminal disease, most of which don't end up even surviving. It's not a word that is really pleasant to the ears, but because we use that word because you use it for people that are really going through pain and all of that. And we continue to talk about the fact that, see, the policy in itself is not one that is bad, but looking at the marriage between policy formation and implementation, and obviously that is where we got it all wrong. This looks like we have some economic vampires and traitors, people that are benefiting from the hardship that people are going on. It was the NLC that protested, that threatened to actually go on nationwide strike, but quickly there was meeting between NLC, TUC and federal government so that a lasting solution can be brought to this. What we have is a situation that shooting was done before even aiming, because if there was aiming, then we won't be crying of hardship, of pain that this policy have brought about. We live in a country where we don't go after perpetrators, but we rather look for another way out, and that means the perpetrators are living with it. And so some people will decide to tour the same venture because they know at the end of the day, the highest I can do is to truncate to the leading party, and nothing is being done about it. And we cannot continue in that circle. We have looked at how that measures can be looked into especially in terms of looking at our own environment. We import almost everything, and that has become a problem. This is a nation where a refinery was commissioned, everybody celebrated it, and when something is commissioned, you expect that immediately start functioning. But this is July, and then we are almost headed to the end of July, yet the Dangote refinery has not kick-started operation. Well, the NEC have already questioned the suggested national register of the former President Muhammadu Buhari administration, that through the World Bank support, they actually came about those safety, social safety nets in 2016 in line with the fulfillment of his campaign promise. He came about that social safety net that gave birth to the social register, and we saw that from 2016 they have about 61 million Nigerians that their names are actually on that social register. But after intensive meeting of the NEC yesterday, they said the register failed integrity test. It was you that was asking yesterday that is your name in that register, because we've heard over time that there is a register, a social register that has the names of vulnerable Nigerians, the poor and all of that. But how many people do you know directly that have actually benefited from that social register? Or are we not Nigerians? Where some people will say, oh, better you and all of that. But we are also faced with the hardship. That's the reality that we found ourselves. So the NEC yesterday cautioned the integrity of that social register, and it decided that in sharing the palliative, the cash transfer now will no longer be through that social register of the last administration, but rather through the social register of state government. This cash transfer now is going to be done through the state government. So I expected that every state will come up with a social register, and then the cash transfer can be done directly that way. And I was listening to the governor of Anambra State, Soludo, talking about also they're also looking into providing loan for MSMEs, so that they will be able to aid them in their businesses. They're also talking about looking into providing some buses and then cars. We've seen how there's some other states like Bayelsa, Borno, among others, provided some forms of cushioning by coming up with buses and then cars to help their citizens. And I think this is one area too that other state governments are looking at. The Bauchi State Governor, Bola Mohammed, also talked about providing food and through NEMA, and that way people can get it at cheaper rates depending on how, but since it's coming through the federal, the government, it's going to be much easier and all of that. What we want is accountability. This is something that we've always talked about, Sambo Solomon. If we are not transparent when it comes to distribution, when we're not transparent as a government, when we're not accountable, even when it comes to even sharing this palliative, then at the end of the day, you start hearing that some people embezzle or ended in some people's pocket. Because most times in Nigeria, when issues like this is being brought to the table, people start thinking of their immediate family, people they are affiliated with, their relation, and they forget the true vulnerable Nigerians, the poor of the poorest. And at the end of the day, you see that policy schemes like this don't yield any result. Our concern is that Nigerians are going through pain. There's hardship, there are outcries, Nigerians are groaning, and we cannot help salvage this situation if we are not true to governance. Governance is not just about looking at individual interests, but bringing support to the people. And when you have bad governance, it does not just affect the economy or your pocket, it also affects your state of mind. And that is why today you go on the street, you see a lot of people walking and talking to themselves, because the challenges of life, there are a lot of people, depression, gone are the days that we look at depression as just a topic. Today it has become a disease that a lot of people are going through, that has led so many to even committing suicide. So whatever needs to be done, what we are talking about is beyond I will do, we are doing, we are going to look into this. Can we see it in reality? Can we see actions being put in place? Can the common man on the street say, yes, I have felt the impact? It was Ononuga that tweeted that Nigerians should be patient, that we shouldn't just shout at the administration, say all manner of things, that everybody's feeling the impact of the removal. So Nigerians should be patient with the Tinubu administration. And I beg to disagree with that. I don't think that everybody's feeling the impact. They are not. The politicians are not. It was just recently that we saw that 70 billion naira have been allocated to members of National Assembly. So they are not feeling the impact. Up until today, we are still thinking of how those cash transfers are going to be done. But as far as I'm concerned, the 70 billion naira issue is already settled. So it is not everybody that is really passing through this pain, because if they are really passing through it, they would have done something real quick. Now the NSA are threatening to pull out of that meeting. But I think it's needful that the federal government consider meeting with the NLC, especially as regards this minimum wage. And there are a lot of people that have not been paid salary, civil servants, pension, and all of that. And I think this is one of the suggestions during the NEC meeting by the governor of Anambra State, saying that all withheld salaries should be paid, and all civil servants that have served, pensioners should also be paid, because it's going to help them. At least they have food to eat. But because when workers work and you don't give them their wages at the end of the day, it becomes a problem. So we hope that at the end of the day, integrity will be at the forefront, even in sharing this palliative. And the government needs to admit as well that take responsibility, that the way it went about with this issue of subsidy, it didn't do well, because there should be palliative in place before removal. Because we're talking about yes, we agree that monies that should be allocated to education, road, health, and other things, where like the bulk of it goes to fuel, and more like some few individuals have been enjoying it at the detriment of the 200 million Nigerians. The needful must be done. Let's see integrity even in the sharing of this palliative.
Well, it's a good one. You know, like someone says, if you talk about policies, you know, intentions of government when it comes to Nigeria, it's not something that you will argue about, because you find beautiful policies. You know, how to go about it is always the issue. Like you rightly pointed out. You see, now our leadership, we forget governance and we bring politics into governance. It doesn't work. Even in advanced countries, the countries that we say, yes, we are learning from them as a democratic nation. Any small thing you hear us saying, we are learning from United States, we are learning from this. But if you look at them, any government that comes, you look at the policies and they forget about politics and they dive into governance. And they make sure that their citizens, you know, are being put in front. Just look at the way you are talking, the issue of implementation. Yes, we know all of these presidential candidates, you know, that went around campaigning, crisscrossing this country, talked about subsidy removal. But you see, the problem is not, and Nigerians are cool with it, because during that campaign, I think is one of the points that they have been stressing, all of them, because they know it is something that Nigerians want. And they feel they should sell it. And that's why all of them have been talking. But like we said, yes, you may have your own plan. But what are the strategies that you will follow to achieve that which you say you want to achieve? And then we are looking at it now. It's not the issue of the removal, but the issue of strategy makes someone to think that you are even ignorant about what you are saying. Because just imagine, before the last regime, look at how Nigerians suffer. Look at the issue of money swap. Look at how people, Nigerians, your citizens, that some of them have to go naked, public, you know, in banks, trying to access their money that legit they did business, or is their salary or something. You refuse them. They went through that hardship. After that is the election. Just the day of swearing in, you are removing fuel subsidy. And then for the month that is remaining, because it's been in the budget of the country till June for a subsidy. It's not end of June. Already you announce the subsidy.
Sambo
That
Solomon,
alone is a breach.
This goes a long way to show you that we have issues in terms of approach. Like we lack strategy. We actually lack innovation. We lack imagination. Like, and all these people hide under sycophancy. People don't say truth to power. And that is why we always have policy reactive measures, apologies, be patient, and all of that. You hear the likes of Bayo Ononuga, who is part of the presidential campaign team of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, saying be patient, everybody is feeling the impact. So why didn't these people come in the first place to say, see, before this decision, since you know you're going to be announcing it on the day of your inauguration, can you put all the measures in place to see that when you announce it, this is going to be your immediate action? And that was why earlier on I said that the government must take responsibility, that yes, it failed in terms of the cushioning the effect of this palliative. There is dismarriage between the policy formation and the implementation, and they must agree to that. We are talking about NEC rejecting Buhari's social register. So what happened to all the allocations that have been made through that register from 2016 down to 2022?
Nobody's
This is
asking
something
this
we should ask this question and investigate it. It's now that we're saying that it didn't pass integrity test. We need to follow up on that. Beyond say, oh, it didn't pass integrity test, we are no longer going to use it, we are going to be transferring funds to state government through their own social register and all of that. Those monies that were allocated to that social register, the people in charge
that lacks
of it
integrity
for how many years, we should be able to probe these people. They should answer all the questions. Who are the people? On what basis did they come up with that the list? The 61 million Nigerians that are on that social list that currently the present National Economic Council is saying this social register does not pass the integrity test. It should be checked. It's not something we should shy away from.
Just like the issue of fuel subsidy, you told us that for since inception, you know, the system is corrupt, but immediately you're coming, we see action on removal. We didn't see action on following who took what did not belong to them, because it's taxpayers' money, you know, and this is why we are saying politics should not be politics should be detached from governance. Now look at it. Now, if the governors are bringing register, how sure are you that my grandmother that is in our village that doesn't know anything about, or she didn't participate in APC, that her name will reflect? You understand? But she's a Nigerian. She's the poor of the poor. You understand? Now you will begin to see.
That's by your own standard.
you understand? Now you begin to see the states with the different political affiliation. Now the register will begin to take that whatever. So the rest, are they not Nigerians? You understand? So we hope that Nigerians will keep talking.
Loyalty to Nigeria should be a key factor, and the objective of governance should be at the forefront in everything that we do, especially in terms of policy. I think that will be helpful.
Well, the 90 days, you know, stipulated by the Constitution, you know, that mandate every governor and then president to bring out ministerial, yes, and then commissioner when you are talking about commissioners when you are talking about state. You know, the days are fast approaching. But yeah, you know, there are speculations here and there, you know, some media saying that the Senate have received ministerial leads. They are yet to work on it. They will unveil and the rest. But just yesterday, Senate are saying they are yet to receive any ministerial leads from the president.
Well, it is something that is expected, Sambo Solomon, the list of the ministers. You recall that the past few weeks, a lot of lists have been flying on social media, calling some names of certain individuals.
With
portfolios and all of that. We know that over the years, it is just names that are being sent to the National Assembly, the upper chamber, and then they go through it for screening and they approve that. And Nigerians have always said, oh, can we have those names, portfolios attached to that? That is going to be easy in terms of screening them and applauding or authenticating the whole thing. It was President Muhammadu Buhari sometimes last year around March that actually amended that the provisions that says that within 90 days the president or the governor must ensure that he or she submits the list of either ministers or commissioners to the National Assembly or the State House of Assembly. And that way, so that the need for economic planning, economic team, or whoever is going to be taking charge of which parastatals to kickstart work, because we cannot leave our parastatals, our ministries not working. Of course, we need all of these people so that work can kickstart. And it is in line with the anxiety, the curiosity to know that a lot of lists have been ongoing. And then even early this week, we saw how that some the newspaper reported that the presidents have actually submitted the list to the National Assembly. But yesterday, the spokesperson of the National Assembly said they are yet to receive any list. That if they have received, of course, the Senate President Godswill Akpabio would have read that out during their plenary. The decision actions will have been would have commenced and all of that. So this is to the public to debunk any news pertaining ministerial lists that have been flying about or lists being submitted to the National Assembly. The spokesperson yesterday said they are yet to receive any list. What we want is a government that is active, a government that is working. We want people that will emerge, like we said before now, people that are competent, people that have integrity, people that have love for the nation, people that their objective is good governance, so that we can get things working again. For some times now in this country, what we've always had is chronology of excuses that have grown to become deception, because when you keep telling people, oh, we are doing this, we are working on this, and people don't feel anything, that becomes deception. And we don't want leaders that will emerge and keep deceiving the people, but we want leaders that will emerge, will look into the plight of Nigerians and ensure that they make life better for them. So in considering the names, whatever the list that is going to be coming up for ministers as well as commissioners, I think it's very important that we look into the integrity of the individuals. We saw how that a lot of individuals have been trooping the presidential villa and to shake hands, and we saw how that some the likes of Femi Falana have called on the president, stop dining with some people that still have cases in terms of siphoning, stealing from the national treasury, just in the quest for them to get some appointment. This is the time that everybody is busy hiding under sycophancy, hailing the president for what they will get at the end of the day. This should not be what he's going to consider, but he will consider the love of Nigeria. He will consider improving the life of the people. He will consider national interest, and competence should be at the forefront.
We hope so. We're talking security, the defense headquarters, activate war mode, nationwide for country sabotage.
Well, I like the fact that the defense headquarters is actually saying that, yes, they have activated war mode nationwide. You will recall that when we were talking about the issue of insecurity, attacks in Plateau State, Taraba, Benue State, Kaduna, the continuous killings of Nigerians who have the fundamental rights to life have been shattered and all. We kept emphasizing that we cannot be romancing these bandits, these kidnappers, these killers, these terrorists in the name of dialoguing with them. We've seen how former governors have actually gone ahead to say that, oh, can we dialogue with them just the way that the late president Umaru Yar'Adua did with militants? But you cannot join people that are advocating and people that are killing together. These are two different scenarios. We saw how that, on their own, they decided to dialogue with them. They took pictures, even posted pictures online, former governor of Zamfara State. But they did end the killings, the issue of insecurity in that state. Of course, it didn't. But it was the same state that we had of 4 police officers were killed. In Benue State, we saw how Reverend Father Aliyah is calling on these attackers to lay their arms, saying that it's going to grant amnesty and all of that. No, that shouldn't be the case. I know that, yes, he's a Reverend Father and maybe he's acting in that line. But no, these people need to be eliminated. These are people that we should not take lightly. These are people that have killed. We're not even looking at the victims of these people that have been languishing in IDPs. It was just this week that we saw how that the presidential candidates of Labour Party, talking about Peter Obi, visiting Plateau State and even celebrating his 62nd birthday at the IDP. He visited the governor and then was at the IDP to celebrate his birthday, donated bags of rice and then a check of 5 million naira. And I think this is a gesture that we should actually applaud, and we give it to Peter Obi, presidential candidate of the Labour Party. This is human, if you ask me.
Yes.
And this goes a long way to show his love for the people, because at the time where these people are languishing in pain, thinking of the loss of their loved ones, they are seeing hope. Somebody is coming to share love with them. And we are calling on every Nigerian also, beyond your quest for position and leadership or appointment, can you think in line with those people that have been languishing in IDPs and all of that? Can you show some love to them? So while the defense headquarters are saying that, yes, they are activating war mode. I think it is applaudable. And we saw how they neutralized about 23 terrorists. They have rescued 17 people that have been kidnapped, and they have made some arrests as well. This is quite applaudable. Recall how we kept talking about the fact that our citizens, some Nigerians, have been languishing. Look at the Baptist Bethel High School in Kaduna. Till today, there are people that are still held. Some of the students that are still held in Baptist school girls. Talking about, look, the likes of Leah Sheribu, Chibok school girls since 2012. There are some of them that are still there. It was just recently we talked about 2 girls that were rescued, one with 8-month pregnancy that even gave birth, and other with a 1 year plus baby. Like you can think of the trauma, you can think of the psychological implication of that. What about their family members, what they have been going through, knowing fully well that their children are languishing kidnappers and them. So I think this is a good move, and it needs to be supported. It was the Vice President that recently, while talking about addressing this issue of banditry and kidnapping, terrorism, that talked about, beyond military, there's need to look at other factors, eliminating poverty. And you will see with this removal of fuel subsidy, without any palliative or measures put in place to cushion the effect, a lot of people have been thrown into poverty again. And these have been attributed to be one of the factors that have led a lot of people into crime, into banditry and kidnapping, because they have seen that, this venture is attractive. I can make money out of it. I've gone to school. I said I want to contribute my quota, but the environment is not enabling. I'm not employed. The age limit and all of that factor did not allow me to get employed. So they thought the path of crime. This is to say that there's no excuse for crime or going into crime. But we should do the needful by ensuring that the issue of insecurity is being eliminated, so that Nigerians at least can have an environment that peace can actually, they can enjoy peace. They can have an environment where they can travel from one state to the other without any fear of their life being taken in the course of their journey. So we hope that at the end of the day, this mode of war against bandits or kidnappers, Boko Haram and the likes, is going to really yield results in terms of eliminating them totally.
You know, I believe these are kind of statements that Nigerians want to hear, because it has lingered for long. You know, people have been calling, for particularly the way this issue of terrorism has been handled, quite some years now. And then I think, we shouldn't give them room to think that what they are doing is right, because like you rightly said, what about the victim? Look at people now that leave their ancestral home, that place they call their home. They cannot even think of going back, and then some people that are being given amnesty, and then government is treating them with one kind of a special reception, and the rest is unacceptable. Because you imagine these people growing, and then with that kind of notion, you don't expect that, because it will come to a state they will say, they will begin to say they will give, they will retaliate in their own way, because they feel the government didn't treat them well. Like Boko Haram, we saw how they are recruiting people, giving people money, like to recruit them, and they feel is a good business for them to venture in, and then they were recruiting people before the intelligence that we have in this country. Is quite shameful, and we hope that military will maintain this tempo. This is the right way to go. A crime, we should treat crime as a crime. We should not make them to feel like what they are doing is good. Thank you very much, Joyce, for doing this with me today. And for viewer there, we thank you so much for giving us your time. Let's do this same station, same time. Bye-bye, and God bless you.